Hey everybody, DJ Lou here, and this is my second to my last gig log video for this season. And first, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on this video and please subscribe to my channel. But I want to give a quick update before we start jumping into this gig log. This is being filmed the day before, and I shot a video on the cameras that I use on the field and here in the studio for capturing video, and then of course what I do for audio capture as well. And for those that know, my RX 105 got destroyed thanks to, unfortunately, an inebriated guest bumped into it, and also my EV50. Luckily the 50 didn't topple over it, righted itself, but my RX 105 definitely got some damage on it. The monitor no longer works right now. I thought I had an external monitor lying around. I was going to attach it for studio work. I think I'm going to still buy one on this because otherwise it still seems to be functioning properly. But I went through a couple phases. My last gig log, I was originally shooting on a Lumix GX85. It is one of those little bit larger body style with a individual removable lens. And I just really didn't like the way I was having some problem with some of the live video. Basically the white balance would be a little bit off at times. The brightness was definitely off. It wouldn't give me a proper registration of what the video would look like in real life. Basically that live preview seemed always a bit dark compared to what was actually shooting. And I just wasn't really happy with the ultimate quality in it. So I sent that back. And I was basically like, you know what, I'm going to find another RX 105. I don't want to buy them new. They are a little expensive at $1,200 new, especially for what I get. There's a couple missing features that makes this basically the perfect camera. But I was looking around, and somebody on the DP review site, which is one kind of dedicated to videographers and more so photographers, and it was like, you know, there's a camera out there, this one in particular. This is the Lumix LX10. So it's very similar to the GX85 in some ways, but also shares a lot of similarities to the RX 105. It's nearly the same size body as my Sony. Now, there are a couple exceptions. One actually has a manual ring to check your focal length on it, which is both good and bad, because now I can't find a cage for this like I do with the RX 100. It actually has the same issue with the mount on the bottom being too close to the battery door, so I can't put my quick release system on this. So there's an additional negative on it, but it does have the flip screen. The GX85 did not, and this is absolutely crucial, at least for me. I know some people don't have a problem, but when you're kind of trying to do the selfie mode and get that focus in and all, a good 3/4 of the video that I shot in my last gig log was out of focus. Looked pretty damn sharp in most cases, a little overblown, but then not having that display in front of me, I didn't know that the focus was off. So that's why I gave up on this. I'm going to give this a shot. I'm not 100% sure on this. It definitely has a better performing lens than my Sony. The Sony is an f1.8 on the lowest end. This is an f1.4. But the combination of the fast glass, a little bit of more ISO room on this, I should be able to get even more shots than I was getting out of the Sony. So I'm going to give this a try. I might have to, if I really do like it, I might fasten something to kind of relocate the mount point on this so it's not in the way of the battery door. But yeah, this is what I'm going to be shooting for this gig log. So let's see how the quality of these shots are. Good morning, everybody. It is 10:05 this morning. It's you know, it got downright cold last night. It was like 34, 33 last night. So I've got on the warm, I will not fix your computer wear. I never get fully dressed in the morning. I'll get up, kind of you know, set my breakfast and all that, get everything ready. As some people know, I lost quite a bit of weight this year. I dropped around 40 pounds. And part of what you saw with my breakfast, I try to keep my foods pretty lean, high protein in that case. A pair of eggs, no butter. I just threw in some turkey sausage, some frozen turkey sausage. Let what you know, fats from that kind of coat the pan. So I try to keep things as lean as possible. I'm not always good, you know, definitely not always good, but definitely, you know, breakfast is super important, especially on a wedding day. There could be many hours before I get a chance to eat again, so it's usually a nice lean breakfast to kind of work that out. So I have to pack the van today. Today is Sam and Sam's big day. I'm at a Preston barn for the first time. I actually was there when they did a soft opening a couple years ago. And I just unfortunately didn't have the luck of landing gigs. I was either booked or something came up where I didn't land those gigs. But finally I'm at Preston barn today. It's about an hour drive from here. Beautiful, beautiful spot. And, you know, I can't finally wait to actually perform there. What we have in store today, a lot of what I would call, you know, this is kind of my zone, this is my lane, this is my heaven kind of thing. Lots of new wave to start, so a lot of 80s flair in the beginning, and then into a lot of R&B and hip hop for the night. They put on Tupac, How Do You Want It? I love the song. I've actually never done it at a wedding, so it'll be interesting if I can work that in. But there's Prince, there's New Order, there's Salt and Pepper. Yeah, there's just a lot that's supposed to be happening for today. So we'll see how all that goes. You never know how the crowd's going to react. But I really hope, you know, I don't get too many, you know, just straight R&B hip hop nights, and we'll see where this kind of goes. I'm now recording, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, with my Lumix LX10 camera. I'm hoping this is going to be a nice addition to things. It definitely has a better low light performance. So we'll see how it actually works in the real world. I'm also recording at 4K. I wanted to get some extra sharpness out of things. I also wanted to be able to kind of crop and focus in on areas, because when I set up my camera, I don't have a lot of time to kind of position and zoom and shoot and all that. So having 4K will allow me to kind of crop into certain areas, you know, focus in and not lose resolution when I ultimately upload the 1080. But unfortunately, it takes a lot more space, of course, and of course, editing power in Final Cut Pro, even though it's super quick, it still takes time to render and then to be able to export. So we'll see how this goes. I've never shot an entire wedding in 4K, so this will be really interesting. But other than that, let's go pack the van. Let's get ready for today. All right, everybody, changed up. I got everything ready to go for today. We got some time still before everything, so let's kind of take a quick tour of what's set up. You know, if anybody's seen my gig logs in the past, they know what they are essentially getting themselves into. Virtual DJ 2020 still in effect. It's been pretty solid for me, been pretty happy with it. Of course, the NS7 III. As much as I love the 62 and the 12s, it's just a lot of setup. Now, if I had a roll-in cart solution like the Toadmatic or something similar, this is actually a venue I could easily roll in and roll out. I'm hoping by next year that I can actually invest in a new piece of transportation, be it a trailer or a new vehicle, and roll that in here. So it would be a perfect candidate for that. But I got a replacement stand. Actually, I've had that one in my arsenal for a while. I actually have 4 stands in total. I had a couple more nicks than my other ones had, but no crack on the side, so everything is solid on that. I do have one new addition right here, and this is this really tall 72-inch tripod. I noticed with trying to get some of my shots, I'm always trying to get as much elevation as possible so it gets a decent angle going down. Part of the reason why my camera got damaged last time is I did have it propped up so high on basically as narrow of a path as I could get with my old tripod. So that hopefully will give me some more stability, a bit of height, a nice angle for these crowd shots and all that. So that's something new that we have in here, but of course my 50s. Something you won't see too often, and actually I'll try to get a couple good shots around here. You have a really good installation here. So EV speakers around, there's 3, 6, 9, 12 in this area. So definitely a very competent internal system. Now I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to go ahead with my typical setup, of course with the 50s. I'm going to throw my Mauis on the side just so I have to worry about managing you know, the event own sound as well. So we have that, and as you can see, the table settings are really nice. It's a very, very sweet setup. The couple actually did this themselves. And this overall, just a beautiful spot. I was actually here 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, when they had a soft opening here, and anytime I got an inquiry here, it was always I was booked or something had happened. So now at least I finally get to perform here, which has been a target of me. It's a little bit out of my way, hour and 10 minutes to here, but it's just, you know, it's on that fringe. I definitely don't mind coming to locations when the area is awesome, the staff's awesome, and things like that. Now let's go outside here. We're going to show our ceremony. And actually, before we do that, I wanted to test something here. I want to actually test my range of my Wi-Fi for that, because there is a little bit of distance today between that. So grab my iPad and we'll connect it to my ceremony system. Now my ceremony system's already set up. It's powered off. So I'm going to have to walk over there, power it up, and let's check to see how much range I have with that. You're most welcome. All right. Now, a quick note on these cameras. I don't typically go auto on them. I usually don't like what the end result is. So I'll set it up on manual, which you'll see I have to adjust. Now it's going to get super bright. Now, one negative of this Lumix that the Sony has an ND filter, and that helps for adjusting for super bright times like this. I already have my ISO all the way down. I have my aperture as small as it will go, and it's just still too much for this camera, and I knew that was going to happen. I had read reviews that super sunny situations can be overblown for video. So we have now walked over. Welcome to the ceremony site. Of course, I got my Mauis set up unpowered right now. I got my IEMs all set up and ready. Of course, anybody see my blog has been familiar, of course, with my setup. I'm going to run 2 mics today. I'm going to power this bad boy on. I do get questions sometimes if you can silence the beeps on the UPS. Well, this UPS is off the grid right now, So yes, both with the APC, the cyber power models, they all can silence the alarm, and they actually stay there too. You don't have to keep on constantly turning it off. So I'm going to wait a few moments for everything to come up, and then I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi on my router, and we're going to see what kind of distance we get out of that. For the record, I can actually still control my reception setup from out here. So going through the building, I'm going to say 150 feet or so, 125 feet. Connect to ceremony. Another quick note, I actually had a couple questions on this. If it matters which tablet you have. Now I have noticed the iPad just has a better look on the way it displays the GUI. Some of the Android tablets, I have a Galaxy Tab 2. It kind of looks a little choppy, is the best way to describe it. Just the rendering is a little bit off. The iPad just looks super, super sharp. So now we are connected. So let's do some walking again. And the goal of this is where I was just walking through is where we're going to line people up. So with that, I want to make sure that I can at least stay here or be relatively close when the planners here today want to cue everybody that, you know, I am ready for that. And I'm still got nearly full strength on this, so this should be a breeze. Now, if I was using the internal router of the Soundcraft, it would not reach out here, just simply wouldn't. But I am golden on this. Yeah, awesome. And as you can see, got some distance between where we are now and where I can control my iPad. So, as I always say, a relatively inexpensive router. I think I paid 30 bucks for mine. Will get you pretty far with these. So, I am all set up for the day. As you can see, I'm all dressed up. We got just about an hour and change before I start queuing up the music. About another 15 minutes after that, we'll get everybody queued up and ready to walk down. The ceremony is supposed to be relatively short. The cocktail is actually going to be this area where you see the red umbrella. That is the cocktail hour area. This area where the tent is, as you see, it's kind of like a little lounge kind of setup. This is also the plan B in case it rains here. So really solid, nice concrete here, you know, really sharp. I love that they take a lot of pride in getting all these things set up really nicely. Everything is just nice, clean, easy to get through. Even things like, you know, walking my equipment. My equipment was out by that fence, was where I loaded it off, and just a nice smooth path coming up. And luckily, my car is just right there. So come ceremony, and some people have asked me this as well, what do I do when a ceremony is over? Well, I will try to throw my cart and my SKB cases into my car, so I've already got that taken care of. So this will be a relatively short walk to get that over there. I always try to make that as short as possible. The Mauis will get carried over from ceremony all the way over to cocktail, and then from cocktail inside dinner. So, and I always say this, dinner should never be blasted or anything like that, so I try to keep that nice smooth level kind of throughout. But that's it for now. We've got new wave style music, so that's gonna be really awesome. New Order and a whole bunch of others that I got lined up. I think I threw a Bowie in there. I'm trying to remember, I threw a few nice interesting mix for that. And then we're gonna have, I think he classified it as bouncy funk. So we've got the Meters, we've got James Brown, you know, a lot of Stax, a lot of Motown. Just a real, just truly funky cocktail and dinner. We're gonna have that same theme going throughout. This is my zone. This is where I love to live. And come dance time, there's supposed to be a lot of hip hop and R&B. We're gonna mix some new wave in there as well. But it's gonna be a real, real fun night. So let's see how this goes, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Now, is there a special song for us? Samantha?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I'm going to wait for everybody to get to the aisle, then I'll cue you down.
What?
All right, we're going to do this in 3, 2, 1.
Well, Kevin, you're right here at the controls, I got to tell you.
Thank you.
Should we wait for the music?
It's coming. It's a slow.
Oh my God. You can do it. Thank you, Louis.
Anytime, anytime. All right, everybody. Ceremony's over. We're at cocktail right now. Rocksteady Aretha. I would love to play this all the time. But I was trying to record the ceremony in 4K, and the battery just didn't have a whole lot of life in it. I want to say it was about 35-40 minutes. I got to check what the runtime is on my what I was recording. But, you know, I'm hoping this camera works out a little bit. I really like the quality of the picture. But if I can't get at least better battery life than what I had with the Sony, which the batteries in the Sony are probably almost 50% smaller, that would be a little bit of disappointment. We'll see how the rest of the night runs though. But cocktails going on, everything's just lovely at this point. Got a little bit of a couple appetizers, just really awesome food. You know, the fact that I could play some funk and soul for cocktail and dinner, you know, that just puts a smile on my face. But let's just roll in and let's go to introductions and some dancing.
Yeah.
I be on the mic as I do my duty, yo. While up in the club like we while in the studio.
I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right. The new step I take, you will be there. If it's when yet, if it's when yet, walk this way, talk this way.
All right, I want to get all the single guys up here, up on this floor. Everybody else kind of separate out here. You know what we're doing. And single guys up here. Come on, come on, come on.
We are shredding gender norms at this wedding as we speak. I'm about to toss this bouquet. It's like 4 or 5 guys. There are way more single guys than this. I want to see you guys jostle and jockey for position and box each other out. Like, all right, here we go.
3, 2, 1. Everybody, big round of applause. Come on now. Now let's get back on the dance floor, everybody.
I suppose, from my neck to my toes, neck full of gold, baguettes in my rolls. 7 years of she's walking on by.
All right, everybody. everybody. Sam and Sam's wedding is done. I'm back home. And how did everything go? How did everything kind of plan out for the night? Well, as I mentioned in the video originally, being able to have a cocktail set with, just a lot of funk, Aretha and James Brown and the Meters, and it was just bonkers. For me, that is like heaven for me, starting things off with a more new wave vibe, and then kind of just mixing it all up from Prince to Nicki Minaj, just the whole gamut. It's when I get weddings like that, it just I can't help but really smile. Now, don't get me wrong, I grew up, as my record collection would attest, on everything from rock, pop, funk, soul, hip hop, the gamut. And I have favorite songs from each period and all that. But when I get like a real nice deep hip hop set, when I can play Q-Tip and people are vibing to it, when I can play Prince and people are vibing to it, when I hear comments of how good the cocktail and dinner set is, and I'm able to play, the Meters and stuff like that, that is just, ridiculously awesome for my spirit, my soul. So I can't help but smile when I look at the playlist and just see how everything went. As they like to call themselves, Boy Sam and Girl Sam, they're just a great couple. Everything went nice and smooth. I was hoping a little bit better performance from the Lumix camera. The focus was sometimes off a little bit. Low light was really, really good. So filming it on the tripod, shooting down, that stayed pretty solid. Now, you might see some of the interior lights looking a little darker at some parts and a little bit lighter, and that was actually just the house lighting, so it wasn't anything with the camera that was doing that. But I was really happy with the performance of the low light. I was less happy with the stabilization. 4K and battery just was not happening. I ended up switching to 1080, I want to say probably about an hour into the total recording, basically after ceremony. I wasn't able to capture all the of the ceremony because I was out there. I didn't have a secondary battery out in the ceremony site, and that 4K just drained it completely. So unless you're doing short bursts with something like a camera like this, just record it at 1080. You won't have all the extra area to kind of crop around if you wanted to, but what good is it if you can't get the shot? I did also notice too something with the camera, that I didn't get really great indicators of when it was recording. There was times where if you didn't stare quite directly at it, it actually looked like it wasn't recording. And then also like just comparing with my Sony, within a few seconds, if nothing's happening with it, the lens retracts and everything's good. It's much, much longer than a Lumix, and I didn't see a setting on that. So there's a learning curve definitely going with it, and I don't think I'm going to settle with this camera. I am going to try another camera for my final gig, and they'll give me a little bit more of a mindset of all these cameras that I tried throughout the season and what I'm going to settle on for 2020. But overall, it wasn't too bad. It just wasn't quite what I was hoping to get out of the camera. Everything else just went really smooth. Ceremony went really smooth. Cocktail was nice and fun. Dinner, people danced for most of the night. As you see, I put a lot of the dance segment in here. We had a flip the script bouquet toss, which that was fun. And, it was just a great night. So this is where I'm going to end it for this gig log. I'm going to try to get some rest. And I hope, again, you enjoy. This is the second to the last gig log. See you on the final.